CNN. Takeaways from New York City's mayoral primary. Mamdani delivers a political earthquake. I would just like to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to endorse Zohran Mamdani wholeheartedly for mayor of New York. Zohran, I hope you win. You have my full support. I am excited for what you will bring to the city and the suffering the communists will get because of the work you will do. As for the rest of the people of New York, I think most people who are opposed to this largely fled. And to everybody else, maybe you should have gone out and voted because only 993,000 people actually turned up for this primary, and you could have made a difference. I'll be fair, however. Who wants to vote for Cuomo? Mm-hmm. So your options are a giant douche and a turd sandwich. Oh, well. But I'm going to make this argument. And
Did you see, Tim, that Cuomo got a big vote, a big majority of the older population vote?
Indeed.
In a weird twist of...
Totally not weird at all.
Completely I'm saying, given his track record with older folks.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I had a conversation earlier, and there's a question of, should we, politically moderate to right-leaning, whatever it may be, disaffected liberals, call for Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo to drop out, endorse Eric Adams, and get a coalition victory against the communists? No, absolutely not. I am not going to endorse a moderate Democrat who favors Democrat policy, even in the slightest, for New York City. I'm going to sit back. I left New York years ago because of how screwed up the city was getting. And I think the only way we change this in this country is if people see mayors like Brandon Johnson. Okay, these young people are as dumb as a box of rocks. That's who elected this guy. It is, they call it the commie corridor, I think the New York Times calls it. We'll pull that up in a second. In Williamsburg, Greenpoint, in Bed-Stuy, Bushwick. These communist former vice employee types have no idea how government, economics, or any of this stuff works. And so when a crackpot snake oil salesman shows up and says, I'm going to make your bus free, I'm going to give you a $30 minimum wage, they all go, this sounds great. And don't wait, there's more. We're going to get rid of the police completely, replace them with social workers. The government will run your 15,000 bodegas. These people don't even understand how many bodegas there are in New York City. They are so dumb. I think the only way things will actually change in this country is if this guy shows up like Brandon Johnson. You get an approval rating at 1%, and these people start going, maybe we shouldn't vote for the communists.
I mean, I kind of want to push back because I do look at countries like South Africa and Brazil, and they do have these radical leaders come in, and people don't change their minds. They just say, we didn't do it correctly, so maybe we should do someone else.
The difference is these are isolated zones. And so if it was something like a communist president, I'd be very, very worried. But I don't live in New York City, and I don't think, considering the track record of Bloomberg and even Eric Adams, that this city has anything that it is not moving in the right direction, as evidenced by the primary win of Mamdani. The people who live in this place need to get what they ask for. And then what happens is they all flee. Now, I understand the risk there then is they come to your jurisdiction or whatever locality and they vote Democrat. But the argument I'd make is we'll cross our fingers and hope that if another 250,000 people flee Manhattan, which is what happened during COVID, they all don't go to the same area. So what ends up happening is if 10,000, if 25 groups of 10,000 end up going to different districts each, it won't overwhelm the current electorate. And so those people will be forced to live under the current Republican system.
When was the last time you can think at the state level something got so bad that it went the other way? Like at the national level, I guess you could say that Trump was the answer to 2 terms of Barack Obama, but Chicago, did not go the other direction.
Keeps going,
yeah. It's just, like I don't ever see this inclination that they get fed up with it and then they vote in a Republican. Like you're not going to get Giuliani.
No, people don't get voted in. It's that people leave, right? So like the people that actually pay taxes, that fund all the things that a place wants, and this is what happened to California. This is what happened in multiple states. But like they just leave. They don't stay there, and so the people that can't leave, that are dependent on the state, they're stuck there, and they're the ones that get hurt the most. But this happens all the time. The tax base gets emptied out because the people that have money are like, well, this place sucks now. I'm out of here, because they voted it into the ground.
Well, yeah, so real quick, take a look at some New York Times. They say Mr. Mamdani's support was strongest in Western Queens and North Brooklyn, the commie corridor. Youthful, renter-heavy neighborhoods known for their left-leaning politics. Indeed, they're all communists. And all the lefties are coming out now clapping and cheering. And I love it. I am genuinely excited for it because the end is nigh. It's not like the mayor can come with an iron fist and just snap his fingers and make all these things happen. So there's gonna be assemblymen and there's gonna be city council and all that stuff to make these changes. Plus, they'll be obstructed a bit by the Hochul and the state government. So we'll see what actually gets done. But looking at what's going on here and what you see with the younger generation, everybody is starting making this prediction that as boomers die and millennials move into a heavier voting bloc, the Democratic Party is going to be communist. That is not a joke. That's not an insult.
Right.
Literal communist, as we're seeing now with Zohran. And you may be saying he's not a communist. He's a socialist, a distinction with no difference, whatever. However, there's also a viral tweet of his where he says, the mayor New York needs, and then he shows an image of someone from the Communist Party in India. So let's just say this guy fancies himself a communist, celebrates communists, and here he is.
Yeah, well, you see everyone like rallying around, like, we got to get Eric Adams, we got to stop this guy. But you're totally ignoring the problem because 4 years later, you're going to be the exact same problem. There's going to be a DSA candidate. And no one's going to come save you every single time. You have to address the actual issue that's driving this movement. And people aren't taking it seriously whatsoever.
Was it, I think California tried passing a law that said that if you had lived in California last 10 years, that you owed taxes?
You still have to pay taxes. If you left. Yeah.
That it follows you. Yeah.
Yeah, nice try, dude. I'd like to see California State Police show up in Georgia and be like, "You owe us taxes." That's not going to happen. But that's what that's what communists do.
Yeah.
See, the issue that the communists have in the United States is that localized communism doesn't work because people can simply leave. See, in East Germany, they needed a wall to stop that from happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's common. In socialist countries, you can't leave. Like,
remember,
that's regular. That's standard to be like, no, you're not allowed.
Remember,
to leave.
this guy's an Islamist, which is slightly different. Meaning, have you guys ever wondered why is it that you'll see a radical Muslim teaming up with a purple-haired transgender activist? What's the convergence there? My theory is, I think it's pretty right, that radical Islam is a political system posing as a religion. Okay, and so under that, and Dinesh D'Souza has interviewed people who have said this, and so basically the idea is, hey, we'll partner with anybody who helps us achieve our objectives, and then when it's just you and me, then we'll throw you off the building.
Yeah, that's just the intersection.
Yeah.
That's just the intersectional hierarchy in this
Right.
country where it's used as a
Right.
means of power. I think it's funny because it could, in a lot of ways, if you had more faith in people to actually look into the policies of the people that they're voting for, it could bring to light a lot of the contradictions that come from somebody who is both Muslim and supporting LGBTQIA plus stuff. To ask, well, from what I know about the fundamentalist sect of this religion, that runs completely in contradiction to your other beliefs. How do you kind of come to terms with that? But nobody's going to ask him that question. Nobody's going to bring that up. And he wouldn't need to anyways, because as we know, there's no truth but power. It doesn't matter to them. It's all about using intersectionality, using the oppression Olympics and their identity as a cudgel against the other side.
The oppression, that's good.
Well, also, like, people are totally scratching their heads trying to figure out, like, what brings radical Islamists and purple-haired people together. I'm like, the one thing that unites them is they hate the United States as it was.
They hate Western civilization.
As it was before.
They hate capitalism.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the one uniting thing is that they just hate what America used to be, and they want to continue to destroy that and drive that into the ground and erase that history. So, like, that's why you get someone that became a citizen yesterday becoming mayor of the most powerful city in the world. That's what happens because his entire platform is predicated on destroying what America was.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
As is many others who were brought into this country en masse over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
That's why I said to have queer liberation, you must apparently defund the police, whatever that means, and whatever those have to do with each other.
Let me break that down for you, Brett. It can be tough. Basically, if you want to have communism, you can't have an armed faction that will stop you from having your revolution.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Well, in communist China, yes, it's communist China. One of the tells is that you're supposed to repeat the line of the regime from that week. In other words, if you use last week's talking points, you're in trouble. You got to use this week's talking points. So to your point, they don't. it's not. There's no principles. It doesn't have to matter.
That's why I can't keep up with whichever flag the left is running this week. It's too hard to understand.
Yeah.
Did you see Freedom Tunes made a video about this last year? The American Flag Company. They become the biggest corporation in the world because they keep adding different things to the LGBT flag.
I said it's literally me and Seamus were talking about them. I think the whole thing was one big flag company's marketing ploy. They're like, we're gonna do gangbusters if we just keep adding to the flag. And then you go down down where we live. There's two houses that fight back and forth. One of them has he's got a "Don't Tread on Me" mixed with an American flag, and then the guy next door to him has the LGBTQI plus flag from that month, plus the in this house we believe that blah 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 is real. And then their flags just keep getting bigger until eventually their whole house will just be encompassed by the flags.
Did you hear about the kids that I think this happened today that got arrested in Georgia for defaming?
Yeah. We've got that one.
Yeah.
They tore flags up. They're going to go to jail for it. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.